Hey, and welcome to this video from Joomla Shack. I'm going to be talking about Shack Forms, which makes it really easy to do creative and useful things with your contact forms in Joomla. On the screen in front of me here, I have a standard contact form created with Shack Forms. It works great. People can come along and put their name, email address, phone, and their message to you into it. But there are many other things that you can do to liven up your forms with Shack Forms. I'm in the admin area of my Joomla site looking at Shack Forms, and there's a variety of layout options available. I'm using a static at the moment. That's what you use to put a Shack form inside an article or just flat on the page. But you can choose things such as a Lightbox window as well. Now, Lightbox windows are triggered by events, so we'll need to go to the Events tab, and we'll see all sorts of different things we can do with our window. For example, do we want it to pop up automatically? I'm going to say yes when the page loads for now, but it's perfectly possible to have certain triggers. For example, if you scroll a certain way down the page, or if you attempt to leave the page, or even if you just click on a button, then Shack Forms can trigger the contact form to open in a Lightbox window. I'm going to choose one of the simplest for now, which is simply onload. I wouldn't necessarily recommend what I'm going to do next for all sites, but it's going to be really good for our testing. This auto pop-up count controls how often the pop-up will appear for an individual user. By default, it's set to 1, so it won't annoy your visitors too much. But I'm going to be doing some testing, and I'm going to set it to 0 for unlimited pop-ups. Every time I refresh the page, I'm going to get the pop-up. So I'm going to save this. We'll come back and look at some of the settings later. I'm going to refresh my site, and there we have the contact form in a Lightbox window. And it's easy for me to X out of the window if I don't want to use the contact form. As we look down the page, there's a variety of different options. We can control how long someone waits on the page before the pop-up comes about. And then there are some settings to avoid annoying your users. For example, you can decide that you want to set a cookie so that someone will not see the pop-up box again for, say, 30 days. I don't want to do that because I'm testing and I want to make sure I see the pop-up box every time, but it's certainly possible to avoid annoying your users with Shack Forms and this Lightbox feature. So under the Events tab, you can control how the Lightbox window works. If you go to the Theme tab, you can control what the Lightbox window looks like. You can control what the buttons and fields look like. For example, you might decide to have a nice violet color for the buttons and the fields. You can control the background color. As you scroll down, you'll see a Lightbox window section at the bottom. You can control the opacity. In other words, does it block the rest of the screen and the information behind it? You can control some of the information as the Lightbox window enters, and you can control what the rest of the screen looks like behind the window. Let's make it a bright red color so we can see that in action. Click on Save. Go to the front of your site, and let's see if our garish colors have taken over for the pop-up window. The rest of the screen has the strong red color behind it, so it really focuses on the contact form inside the Lightbox window. And we have the violet color now for the button. So Shack Forms has long been one of the most popular extensions in the Joomla world, and the Lightbox window feature is one of the reasons why. You can trigger the Lightbox through a link, through a menu link, through a button, or it can trigger automatically. It's a really powerful feature. If you haven't tried Shack Forms yet, head over to joomlashack.com and give it a try. we think you'll find it really is the best Joomla Forms extension.